I was stoked to check out the new Spanish limited series called A Perfect Story. As it went along, I was worried it might not end the way I hoped and leave me heartbroken. Should you put this one on your binge list? When Margot flees her own wedding, she is left feeling adrift. Little does she know, it is David and his delightful chaos who can help her find her way. So this is a 5-episode limited series that follows a guy and a girl who come from drastically different backgrounds and circumstances. And through a chance meeting, they strike up a friendship and then agree to help fix each other so that they're better for their partners. Like most romantic stories, there's a good level of predictability to the story. And it's actually a comfort most of the time because it reassures us that the couple we begin to root for will end up together in the end. But the whole premise with this one is that the two people are trying to improve and then not end up together. Margot is played by Ana Castillo and David is played by Alvaro Mel. Now, they are both awkward in their own ways, and while sometimes it can cause frustration while watching them because they just don't open up and say what they're feeling, the awkwardness also makes them charming and relatable. I love seeing unpolished people who stumble through interactions because it seems way more real. Margot comes from an extremely wealthy family, and while she doesn't flaunt it, it is evident based on her lifestyle. But something I appreciate is that the story doesn't really use this as a device or gimmick. So many times the dichotomy between two characters in terms of finances is used, so it's really tired and unoriginal. Here, while Margot avoids David finding out about her background, it's more so she can just be present with him and not have the money aspect affect their friendship. That being said, though, towards the end, there is some mention of the difference in their socioeconomic status, but it's brief and it's not a major focus. And by avoiding that trope, we get a ton more focus on the growing friendship and relationship between the two, rather than having a large portion of the narrative take up time by showing them avoiding all sorts of circumstances that would then reveal that secret. This also allows the focal point to be on Margot and David and their interactions with their significant others. I mean, it's truly relationship-based, which makes it way more engaging and sweet. Now, an element of the storytelling involves us being able to get into the characters' heads and hear their inner thoughts, as they want to respond. Now, as this happens, there are visual clues. The camera zooms in a bit on the character, and then at some point the camera also zooms back out and we hear this whooshing sound. And then we get to see and hear the reaction that they actually give. It's not an overused technique, but does provide enough doubt in situations to make it fun and a little unpredictable, because there are moments when we have to wait to see if they really did say something out loud or if it was just their inner dialogue. I really appreciate the patience of the camera as well. There are many instances when the camera will just sit on a character, or even just a portion of the character, in order to linger on their expression or body language. There's no dialogue, just this calm pause to dwell on what we're seeing. And I don't think a handshake has ever been more meaningful in a story. It's used to convey way more than agreement. And to be able to feel the emotion behind the handshake without ever seeing the characters' faces speaks to how awesome the visual storytelling can be and is. Now, the pace of the series is patient, but it's not slow, even when the camera does stop down on the characters. And because this is only 5 episodes, and they're each only about 30 minutes, this is a really quick binge. And what makes it even more of a fast watch is that the love story and the build-up is spellbinding. I mean, something that may frustrate you, but I thought it worked beautifully, is that the show teases so much of the relationship between Margot and David. We're taunted with will they or won't they scenarios just multiple times. And it's anticipatory and almost like foreplay. There's this growing friendship, but the attraction is also so obvious to everybody, even them, but they're also stifling their feelings. It's aggravating in the best way and ended up making me want them to get together even more. Now, there are some side characters that help to influence the story at times, like Margot's sisters and David's roommates/friends. And while some of the tangents feel like they're taking the focus away from the main narrative, these interactions allow Margot and David to voice their feelings out loud while also getting advice. And it's another way to help us know the internal conflicts that they're dealing with, and then it continues to reinforce their trajectory. Now, there's more time spent with Margot's sisters, and there is a theme that's explored that's mirroring what she is dealing with in terms of finding happiness and recognizing her own worth. So it does fit within the narrative, but there are still a lot of those scenes, and not all of them are necessary to help tell the story. Something else that this series unfortunately does is that it falls into the trope of exaggerated drama and hurt feelings. When things are going well, something creates tension and annoyance, leading the characters to clash so that then they can make up at some point and reconcile. And it's something that's present in just about every romance story, but I was hoping maybe they'd do something different here and just let the complication of each lead having a significant other while developing feelings for the other be enough to create that necessary suspense. Now, when these situations arise, they don't ruin the show, but they are obvious additions that could be executed more creatively and differently. Now, I was genuinely afraid as this show was going on that we were going to get to the very end and we'd get another La La Land ending. I don't watch romances for realistic endings. I want the couple to get together and live happily ever after. Yeah, I know it's fairy tale and it's not reality, but that's why I watch a romantic movie. Otherwise, if I'm looking for an ending that more closely resembles real life, I just watch a thriller or a drama. Now, I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but what I will say is that up until the conclusion, I was enthralled and hooked. I desperately wanted David and Margot to be together because their chemistry is both beautiful and hypnotic. They click so well together and have charm, humor, and timing that makes them adorable. They also make each other better. So it's refreshing when a story focuses on characters helping to build the other up and instill confidence, even if sometimes truths can be a bit brutal at first. The conversations shared between the two are heartfelt, and they work to show so many clues about how they feel about the other. Now, if you're a sucker for romances like I am, you're going to want to binge this immediately. Ana Castillo and Alvaro Mel are just exquisite together, creating a dynamic and emotional tale that's dripping with romantic anticipation while also maintaining incredible charm and screen presence. The arcs are mostly predictable, but the drawn-out and prolonged romance makes for passionate and fevered payoffs. This is addictive and satisfying, and there's even a scene or two that might make you reach for a cigarette after. There's a lot of sex and nudity, a bunch of profanity, no violence. I give A Perfect Story 4.5 out of 5 couches. So do you have a favorite romance movie? Let me know what it is in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.